got strange happenings here. I've had a stink of something dead and I cannot find it. And I've gone through all this here, right, and then I have found like a dried out dead rat right there, but it was so dried out that like it was just nothing. So I see a little lizard over there too. So anyway, I scooped that up and put that in the bin, and it was pretty dried out. Near to got a maggot wriggling there, and I had another one caught on the opposite side in the cobwebs wriggling. And there are blasted tons of them here, and this has all happened in the last hour or so since I've been away. And yet I have looked through everything. I have looked through all the framing in here. My uncle he must have had a few drips somewhere in here, so he put this other bit of wire and he's other bit of corrugated iron, and he's just hung it on with a few bits of wire. It's also hung up there somewhere, I think. And I've had bird nests in here before, but there's no dead mouse or rat or anything. I think it's going to be at least a rat for the smell. There's nothing in here. There's nothing in here. There's nothing in there. The only thing it could be is where the pitch of the roof changes. Somewhere under one of these grooves. But it's got to be at least this one or further on. But then you've got leaves there that are holding that up. All this is sort of covered by that. A few dead leaves in there. Somewhere, somehow, it's dropping down near here and landing there. And I don't know if the wind's blowing it sideways from back here, but I look into here, you know, there's like nothing in there. It just, no matter what you do, I'm just not finding anything. There's nothing in the guttering. And yet, you know, the stink remains. What you see there is all the cypress pine leaves. But I can't find where it's come from. And you just get this stuff where you got a whole ton of maggots and yet nothing. I had a bad experience at least once. Might have even been twice, to be honest. It was part of the replacement of this ceiling because there was a dead rat somewhere up close to the stove, about here somewhere. And there were friggin' maggots dropping down once. And I was sitting there once and had a coffee, and this bloody maggot dropped in my coffee as I was sitting there, and I was like, oh, you fucking bastards, this is the end. And so I redone all of this because there was something dead, you could smell it, but the maggots were landing in different places, and I believe it was actually dead here, and they were walking along the plank and falling out further over there. And it was one of these things that, like, I could sort of identify it based on where a couple of maggots fell on the floor back here, and then a few up there. And that day I seen one drop in me coffee. That was the frickin' end. And we made a new ceiling. These disgusting things happen when you have these old houses that have got too many bloomin' mice issues and rat issues and stuff. And it's just... things are never sealed. If they were, the wood's rotted. Then the rats chewed through rotten wood to make a nest inside. You just got to accept that some of these things in this sort of life, especially when you're out here surrounded by paddocks, you know, and you say, oh, you got to get rid of the mice, you got to get rid of the rats. Well, you know, there's box thorns with berries all over them, closely related to the goji berry. In fact, some packets of goji berries from China are, I believe it's 40% box thorn berries. And this is the thing, they keep migrating out of the field. They go from eating grass seeds to box thorn berries to coming into the house to, you know, I used to have a mouse I used to have firewood under the table, and this mouse was hoarding up cat biscuits, and it'd keep running forward and back to the cat bowl and then hiding them. And when I finally used up all the wood, there's like a big ton of cat biscuits in there. And, these things just happen. It's just part and parcel of living out in these areas where you're going to have mice continuously migrating in, rats that you think you've just about knocked them off, and guess what? They come back again. And they're living on boxthorn berries and everything else, and then stealing your cat biscuits. And one mouse there didn't make it because it got caught in the act, and it was lost its life out of that one, thanks to Black Kitty's fast movements. Anyway, just part of the reality of living in an old house off-grid out in the country. It's just, it doesn't help when someone else hides things behind the shower and the bathroom, and also underneath the floor, of which I highly suspect is something that's got to do with this. But then how they've fallen so high up in the cobwebs, I don't know.